Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger and I'm an artist sculptor, and today we're going to make a fairy door. It's going to be a little bit different, actually a lot different than any fairy door I've made so far, in that the frame for it is going to be made up of stones, and they're actually going to be called polymer clay stones. But so what I'm doing here is I'm rolling random sized balls of clay and laying them on to be the shape of like little stones, which will make up the door frame. And I really do want it to try to make it fairly random. I don't want it to look like any kind of pattern or anything like that. So that will actually be an effort because it's real easy to get caught up into that. It almost looks like it might already have a bit of a pattern, so I'm just going to try to break away from that right now. So I'm working in polymer clay, and the brand I'm using is Sculpey 3. That's my clay of choice, but for a project like this, if you have something else in mind that you want to use, I'm sure you could use it. Now, to make things easier for you, once you know the shape that you're going to make your door, you can, or you have an idea, you could draw some little sketches to give you some more kind of groundwork for it. But let's say I've kind of got something in mind. I mean, I don't really know exactly at this point, but I'm not going to use a template, but this is going to be an idea I have for you as a template, and that is to just draw the basic shape and then follow that. Do your clay work on the outside or the inside. Lay your bits of clay in there to so that you have a shape to follow. I prefer to go freehand, and that's partly because I can go freehand and I don't really need to have paper like that, but it would be good for you maybe, so that's just an idea. I'm kind of thinking like some kind of peaked a door coming up to a peak, going up like that, just like the picture I drew almost, and then coming back down. So you see how I'm doing this, and I'm really again just really trying to keep it as random as possible so that the stones look like stones and not brickwork or something like that. I'm going to start moving off and over to try to bring it to a peak now. Working on a board is really a nice idea, to give yourself easy access to the sculpture. And once the door is, you've got the frame coming up, you can also move the frame a little bit. I'm working on it's a piece of paper in between the clay and the board, and that's a good idea too. It's taped on there just because I have to work at an angle. I'm not really sure how to make the point on this yet. Let's see, we'll have to see. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'm going to put a divider, like I'll have to show you, kind of like a block that defines the definition between the two sides. So I'm just basically forming that with my fingers. Let's see how that looks. I think I want it to be a little heavier. And this will be like a stone that divides the two sides. Yeah, I have to work at an angle so that you can see it, see it well. Okay, try that. Now, once we're going to put some clay in the center once we get this all together, and we'll be able to. That will strengthen this a lot. So it's not a concern of mine at this point, putting it together like this. Okay, we got the frame kind of underway here, and now I'm going to make a threshold for the bottom, go across the bottom there, and I'm just going to do that almost like a slab as opposed to just stone. So I'm making it if I can, might have to roll it a little bit more, make it a little bit longer, and then I can just form it in my fingers to make it like it could be a stone slab or considered to be wood as well. I'm pressing it on the table like this. We'll form it a little bit better to make it flat on both sides. Turn it over and do the same. Just gonna turn it so I can see it better, and I want to join it to the stonework. So I position it where I want it, and then I can take a pen or some kind of tool and mark where the scoring is going to go. I'm going to show you what that is if you haven't seen it before. Just basically take a tool, a sculpting tool like this, and just score it. Basically what that means is to rough it up, and then you do that also on the stonework here. This is a great way to join clay, join two pieces of clay together. Also add something called Sculpey 3 Bacon Bond, because that will make it a lot stronger after it bakes. So and then when you've done that, you just put the two parts together like that. Just squeeze them in. If you can rotate it a little bit and move it around as you're doing that, it's better. So that's where we are now. Then what I'm going to do is we have to make some clay in here to make something that we can work on for sculpting a door. Now, if you haven't seen my videos before, the reason why I work in black clay is because it's the finishes that a lot of the finishes I do look really good on the black paint, black clay. So I will show you how I do that when we get to that point in the video later on. So you just basically make a little shape to go in. Doesn't have to be exact, but just something that kind of fills it, will fill the space. And then you stretch it by pressing and pushing to get the clay to go up against the door frame, the inside of the door frame. It's a good idea to also turn your the door, turn the board that you're working on. I want to make sure that I did mention that the purpose of the paper, between the paper and the clay, is so that the door doesn't stick to the whatever you're working on. Polymer clay is very nice stuff, but it has some sticky quality to it, and can be a little sticky, so it might stick to whatever you're working on, and then it might be hard to get it off what you're working on when you go to bake it. So you can do that with your finger, but if you have a sculpting tool like this, it is helpful too to kind of sculpt it in to the frame, blend it in, basically, is what I mean by that. And again, this is going to be, I usually do kind of rough doors with a lot of texture and that sort of thing, because that's what I like. And so you know, if there's a little bit of texture or roughness to the clay that you're doing, that, you know, I wouldn't worry about that, because it's really actually going to end up looking better. You can, of course, smooth it, and in the video description down below the video, there will be a couple things that will be helpful to you. A tool and supply list with all the things that we're using today, and then also clay baking instructions, and finally 2 videos on how to smooth polymer clay. So if you want to make your door nice and pristine and smooth, you can do that. Just watch those videos and it'll tell you how to do it. But I personally like a lot of texture, and part of the reason why is the finishes that I do look really, really good on a lot of texture. So you see, I'm just turning the board just so I can see it really well at all angles and make sure that I've got a good tight bond between the door clay and the door frame. And this just reminds me almost of something maybe like that you would see it. I don't know if Stonehenge is the right word for it, but you know, this block here inside here, these stones, it's really kind of neat. I like that. Okay, now I'm going to start trying to decide. And I often do it this way, you know, I'm making something, I haven't really fully decided what I want to do, and then I just sort of create as I go. That's how I sculpt anyways, usually. And I am thinking I'd like to put a window in, because I want to do some things with some vines, and I want to kind of obscure the window. That's one thing that I got kind of on my mind. So I'm going to, I just think it will look really neat, so I think I'm just going to just carve a window in here. I'll start off with a round window. You see how easy that is. You just use a knife and just go around, cut it out, and then you can, you know, smooth it, or you know, just even it up. And of course, you can make the window any shape you want. That looks pretty good. I got it pretty much, well, it's a little bit off from center, so I'll just widen this side a little bit. That looks pretty good. Also, to make a door look, to me, just a lot more strong, is like maybe a big door knocker on it, something heavy. So I'm going to see if I can achieve that. I'm going to take this bit of clay, roll a noodle, like that, and take something round, like this is a broken paintbrush, and put it around it as in a, it's like, so it would be a form to keep the knocker round, and then just cut off the excess. And blend the two ends together so they kind of, you know, are one, it's like one circle like that. I'm going to use a little bacon bond to put it on there, put it on the knocker itself. Oops. Okay. Like that, and that's a nice heavy knocker. And then what you can do is take another piece of clay, a smaller kind of piece there, like this, roll it into a noodle, put it down inside the center of the knocker, and then bring it up, and that will make a bracket, and we can work out how to make that. Make that look right. Let me see, I'm just going to cut off right about here. You know, when you're making a fairy door, you know, or any kind of structure, you can draw pictures of, you know, and put down ideas. I'm just going to kind of poke this down in there that way with this tool, with this paintbrush. So that's like a paint, like a bracket for the door knocker. You can just come up with ideas. You can make notes. You can draw little pictures of what you would like, and just incorporate that into the door as you're making it. I am trying to encourage people to come up with ideas and things that they can make. I'm just thinking about maybe a doorknob. Doorknob there. Just glue that into place. It is kind of a big doorknob. I'm going to think about that. And actually don't like that too much, so we'll take that off. That's one wonderful thing about clay, is you can change your mind about stuff that you do. I'm kind of thinking about the door here, the door handle. There's got to be so many ways to do it. Also thinking about the hinges of the door, and I'm just going to sort of try something that's kind of hard to put into words. But I think I'm going to make a little just a little thing like that. And just set it there for a minute and see how it looks there. That's neat. I like that. Okay, so little bacon bond on there. That's a little bit different. Like that. Okay, better than the doorknob, I think. And maybe something following maybe along those lines a little bit, with this little like curve for the hinges. And so if you could just watch and follow along with and see what I'm doing here. So I've got a noodle of clay, and I'm rolling it to a point at the end, and then I think I'll do the same on the other end. And this is right now I'm trying to work on something, an idea for the hinges. And then bring these together like that. The thing is, I've got that window there, so there's not a lot of space to put a hinge right about here. So that would give kind of the same idea, in a way, of the door handle. And then cut this off. And put it in here. And it's going to be kind of hard to get bacon bond on that right now, so I'm just going to kind of blend it in and press it in. But you saw how I did that. And then we can make another one like that for down here. And that was actually fairly simple once I figured out what I wanted to do. And creation is like that. You can most definitely try things and change, and change your mind. And just rolling. Rolling it like that, and then use the Baker Bond if you can. But if you're doing something and it's getting it's kind of hard to make that happen, just don't worry about it, but blend it in good and bond it as well as you can. It's really pretty amazing polymer clay, if you work with it any amount, how well it actually does stick to itself. And it's really pretty neat stuff. And that's kind of some interesting looking hinges, I think. And then I'm just cutting it in now, and I think if I use really small bits of clay, I can make little bolts, 2 on each one, so it looks really formidable, really strong hinges. Like that. There we go. So that looks like pretty strong, and the design is interesting, but it's still nice and rustic. And the one thing that we didn't do was the texture for the door itself, and part of the reason why I didn't do that is I had some ideas in mind for that, and I wanted the detail, or the embellishments like the hinges and the door knocker on the door before I did that. So I'm just gonna kind of carve that in now. Try to carve it in. And I'm not really looking to make it straight lines like I often do. I think kind of, curving, like if you took an actual tree and just, sliced it, then what would that look like? Well, that would look like probably closer to this here. We're using natural stones, right, to make the door frame, so using natural wood for the planking of the door makes plenty of sense. You notice I'm also putting my lines onto the window frame, or the inside of the frame of the window. Yeah, I like how that looks. And then we also can do like a more texture on the door itself. And I actually did a door, a fairy door video tutorial that posted yesterday. And that was one thing that we did that was kind of neat, was we put a lot of deep grooving into it. I really like these kind of stone castle, you know, heavy, almost formidable looking doors. I really like that. I think it's it lends itself to the whole fairy thing. Ancient, old, you know, mysterious. And a lot more fun too, it seems to me, you know, in many ways. It's pretty rough. I like that. Yeah, one thing I was thinking about, I want to do a couple bolts on the door handle as well. Like that. I think it'll look better. Alright. Now I want to make a wider base for it that we can use to stand it up if we want. So that's going to take a fairly good sized piece of clay, really. So I'm just, you know, you always want to knead and condition your clay. The conditioning mix up the ingredients in the clay. And I'm just shaping basically a slab to go down here below, and I can also shape it on the table, just squeezing it and also pushing down to make the edge flat like that. As a sculptor, you'll become used to using whatever you need to do your work. And let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's about right. Just want to smooth that out a little bit there. Always, you know, want to try to look at it from every angle that you need. Always want to score. when you join two parts, especially big parts like this, is important. And both parts to be joined, you want to do that. And use the bacon bond. Make it nice and strong. And whenever you put two parts together, you want to try to move it around a little bit to kind of get it to get nice and seated on there. The other thing you can do is you can take, like, you know, a tool like this and blend and cut the parts together. Just cut in that clay and make almost a little joint or joining of it, the two parts. That will also keep it stronger, make it stronger. And then I usually show people this, you know, it's kind of hard to see if you went to stand up this door, which we can't do right now because it's very soft, is to check it somehow, and using something, this is actually a piece of wood, it's a 2x4 cut down, and but it has one side that's flat like this, and then it's got another angle here. So if you put this flat against the board and then flat against the base here, you could see that it's that proper angle so that when you stand the door up, it can stand up. So you want to check it now and make sure that it's, you know, good. And then also when you go to bake it, since you will have been moving everything around while working on it, to make sure that it's in the right position using the 2x4, and then bake it, and then it should stand up when it comes out of the oven. And you know, we have a lot of texture going on for the, you know, everything here has got tons of texture to be consistent, you know, marking up your slabs, adding texture or marks or what have you is also helpful. Will make it look better and also consistent with everything else. There you go. And also, when you after you bake it, Sculpey anyway, Sculpey 3, what I'm using in most polymer clays, you can actually carve a little bit. So if you did need to, you know, smooth an edge or something like that on the base, you could do that. I think some vine work would be nice on this. So. Just get some clay going here, and maybe prepare some vines before we start sculpting them on the door. So just rolling it out. If you're rolling it on a table, it's far better, really, because you can get the vine or whatever you're making, the noodle, to be very uniform along its length. The vine is going to be far more convincing if it's uniform. I think I'm just going to shorten this a little bit to make it easier to roll it out. Doesn't really have to be that long, I don't think. There we go. That's one, and then we'll do another here and just kind of get it ready. If you could leave in the comment section, you know, if you ever just daydream about things like this, fairy doors or whatever, and fairy houses, and you know, do you ever come up with ideas? And have you ever used those ideas in your creations? That's a lot of comment there, but you know what? I'm sure you can do it. It'd be great to get some comments like that, you know. It's also inspiring, you know. Very inspiring to hear that kind of thing from other people. So that's another, and then we'll do one more just so we have it. And I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start so it's coming down off below the slab, sort of. And I'm not really sure. Just sort of playing with it at this point. I do kind of like the idea of it obscuring the window, as I said earlier. And then I think just gotta cut a little piece here. This added another you know, little sprout coming off the branch, or another branch coming off the main part there. And then I can use my sculpting knife to blend that in. Cutting another piece here, and you know, I have these ends coming to a bit of a point. You can roll it to a point like that. I think this one should actually maybe come this way. And let's see what else. I don't want so much on this side, just, you know, shorter, I think. I'm just going to roll this a little bit more. Like that. And then I think I'm going to add some leads. I'm going to put a little leaf over the window too. Like, and I don't know if I have showed you. You might have seen some of my other videos. I show people how to make leaves, but I just made a leaf there. I'm going to show you again too, and then you just take just draw a little line like this down to the end, and then you just put cross lines or short lines off the side. Kind of hard to get to it here. Kind of like that. And I'll show you again. So you you roll a little ball, roll it kind of teardrop like that, and then you do you kind of sharpen the end. You can squeeze it or roll it to make it sharper like that, and you can squeeze it a little bit to make it flatter. You put it in place wherever you want, like that, and you can, you know, just cut it in so it looks like it's joined to the vine, and it's nice to like curve the end a little bit. Just gives it a little bit of life. And then you can take a sculpting tool like this and draw a line from one end to the other, and then just a couple lines or 3 lines coming out the side like that. That's what it looks like. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do a finish on this, and I'm using a product called Pigments. Comes in a lot of colors, but the colors I'm going to be using today are silver and antique bronze and spring green. And ideally you'll put it on with a finger. and I'll show you how to do that. You dip your finger into the powder. I usually like try to work off a lid like this, and you dip your finger into the powder, and then you swirl your thumb on it, on your finger, to kind of subdue that so it doesn't go on too heavy. And then just highlight, in this case I'm doing the stones, and you know, I am looking for a subdued finish because we're kind of going for an older look, you know. And you should try to get whatever you can with your finger, because it just looks better if you do it with your finger. And then you can go back and just touch up whatever you couldn't reach with a brush, with a paintbrush. And I'm going to show you how to do that, because I've been working on that also, trying to get that to look better, and also doing the door knocker and the hinges. And the door handle. And then what I do is I take a small paintbrush like this and just get it a little bit wet. That's the new thing, kind of the new thing. Because I found that when I went back with the brush, it wouldn't look near as good as it did with the finger. But if I wet the brush a little bit, it actually works pretty good. So then I dip it into the powder and dab it off, and then just go in carefully and touch up wherever I couldn't get with my finger, and it almost looks the same if you do it carefully. And get a little bit more on there. And you might have to re-wet your brush from time to time. Still, the finger tends to do a better job of it, but you know, if you can't get to the sculpture with your finger, of course, you know, use the brush. And next, I'm going to do the antique bronze on the door, and I'm almost not going to be able to get to the door with my finger hardly at all, so I wet the brush. I kind of squeeze the water off the brush, dip it in the antique bronze, dab it off. And then put it on the door. And again, you know, I'm just trying to go on real light. The bronze to me looks like wood. That's why I often do the wood, the door in the bronze. I clean my brush, and I usually use a rag. I'm using a rag for that. Wet the brush again, squeeze off the excess, and now I'm going to spring green, and I actually don't want to get a lot on the vines. I just want to kind of highlight them a little bit, And I could probably do that with a finger, but just doing it with a brush. I'm kind of, looking for a subdued finish also on the vines. It's actually very pretty, I think. Just really, really pretty. And then I'm gonna do silver on the base. And then, boy, it's gorgeous. Then you just go to the video description down below the video and find your baking instructions for the clay and go ahead and bake it. Now that is for Sculpey 3. If you're using another brand, you'll want to follow the instructions for baking that clay, because it may very well be different. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I do many videos along these lines. Please give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Have fun creating and have a great day.